When people talk about 90s action movies that truly push the limits, True Lies always makes the list. Directed by James Cameron and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, this wasn't just another spy thriller. It was one of the most ambitious practical action films ever made. And what makes it even more impressive? Most of its jaw-dropping sequences weren't just CGI tricks. They were real stunts, real explosions, real aircraft, and some incredibly risky filmmaking. So without wasting any second, let's break down how they pulled it off. One of the film's most intense moments happens when secret agent Harry Tasker must rescue his wife Helen, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, from a runaway limousine heading toward a broken bridge. Terrorists are inside the car, the driver is dead, the vehicle is out of control and racing toward the edge. With no other option, Helen climbs halfway out of the sunroof, reaching upward, while Harry dangles from a helicopter, trying to grab her before the car plunges into the ocean. On screen, it feels terrifyingly real. That's because it mostly was. Large portions of this sequence were shot on location at famous 7 Mile Bridge in the Florida Keys. The high-speed driving shots were filmed with real vehicles on the actual bridge to give the chase authentic scale and environment. For the collapsing bridge and missile explosions, the team used detailed miniature models combined with visual effects. The helicopter rescue was the most dangerous part. Professional stunt performers handled the most extreme moments. The timing had to be absolutely precise. The limousine needed to drop off the bridge at exactly the right moment, just after the stunt performer was pulled clear by the helicopter. If the timing was off by even a second, it could have gone very wrong. Jamie Lee Curtis also performed parts of the stunt herself. She was secured with strong safety harnesses and wires, while suspended from the helicopter. Emergency wire cutters were kept inside the aircraft in case of a crash landing. That's how seriously they treated the risk. And here's the wild part. James Cameron himself leaned out from the side of the helicopter to operate the camera during certain shots. A stunt double for Schwarzenegger hung from the helicopter skid, while Cameron captured the action handheld. When the limousine finally crashes into the water, the team used a practical trick, dropping the car slightly away from the stunt performer to create the illusion that Helen was saved at the absolute last second. It's this blend of real aerial filming, precision stunt work, and practical effects that makes the bridge rescue sequence one of the most thrilling action scenes of the 90s. One of the most jaw-dropping moments in True Lies is the massive bridge destruction sequence, and for 1994, it was an extraordinary technical achievement. Director James Cameron wanted the missile strike and collapsing bridge to feel absolutely real, not like a simple visual trick. Of course, blowing up an actual bridge wasn't an option, so the visual effects team built an enormous and highly detailed miniature replica of the iconic 7 Mile Bridge, while many of the high-speed car chase shots were filmed on the real bridge to capture authentic scale and atmosphere. The moment of destruction relied on this gigantic model, combined with practical explosions. The miniature wasn't some small tabletop prop, it was a massive structure constructed from plaster and reinforced with metal framing, stretching nearly 100 meters in length. Every detail was carefully recreated, from the road surface and railings to the support pillars underneath. When it came time to film the explosion, pyrotechnics experts strategically placed multiple explosive charges inside the structure to ensure the blast unfolded in a dramatic and cinematic way. Flames erupted, concrete fragments shattered outward, guardrails twisted, and debris flew through the air, all captured with high-speed cameras for maximum impact. The pressure was intense because the model could only be destroyed once. To avoid losing the shot, the team positioned multiple cameras at different angles, so the entire collapse could be captured in a single take. To further enhance realism, the production used an ingenious practical solution. The broken section of the bridge was also recreated as wreckage mounted on a floating barge placed in the water near the real bridge. During live-action filming, actors and vehicles were shot on the actual location, while this artificial wreckage sat strategically in the background, creating the illusion that a massive portion of the bridge had truly collapsed. The seamless blend of real location footage, large-scale miniatures, and precisely timed practical explosions is what makes the bridge destruction scene still feel authentic and powerful decades later. The final act of True Lies delivers one of the most outrageous and technically ambitious action sequences of the 90s. In this climax, secret agent Harry Tasker, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, must rescue his daughter Dana from terrorist leader Salim Abu Aziz, who was holding her hostage on top of a skyscraper crane. With no time left and missiles in play, Harry arrives in the most over-the-top way possible, piloting a hovering Harrier jump jet alongside the building. It's big, it's bold, and most importantly, much of it was done for real. To make the sequence feel authentic, director James Cameron didn't want to rely only on studio tricks. He wanted real scale, real aircraft, real air power. Production partnered with the U.S. Marine Corps to film actual Harrier II jump jets in flight. These weren't mock-ups, they were real military aircraft flown by trained Marine pilots. A separate camera aircraft, often a Learjet equipped with stabilized mounts, flew alongside to capture smooth, cinematic aerial footage. Because Harrier flight time is extremely expensive and tightly scheduled, every shot had to be carefully pre-planned. There was no room for improvisation in the air. Later, these real jet shots were seamlessly combined with studio footage and visual effects to create the illusion that Harry was flying directly alongside the skyscraper. That authentic military footage is what gives the sequence its undeniable weight and realism. Whenever you see Arnold inside the cockpit, hovering next to the building, that wasn't filmed in real jet midair. For close-ups, the filmmakers built a full-scale Harrier jet replica made from fiberglass and metal, weighing nearly 7,000 pounds. To enhance authenticity, some real Harrier components, including parts of the cockpit canopy and landing gear, were incorporated into the build. But here's where it gets impressive. The jet wasn't sitting on the ground, it was suspended by a massive crane using steel cables, allowing it to hang in midair. During filming, it actually tilted and moved, while Arnold performed inside. In post-production, the cables were digitally erased. The result? Cockpit shots that genuinely feel like a jet hovering hundreds of feet above the city. To simulate the jet's aggressive movements, the production used an advanced motion control gimbal rig. To shoot this entire sequence, the production installed the suspended jet rig on top of a 30-story building to capture authentic skyline backgrounds and natural lighting. Operating a 7,000-pound jet replica high above the ground was extremely risky, requiring extensive safety measures. A 47-foot Harrier model was mounted onto a computer-controlled hydraulic platform, capable of tilting up to 60 degrees in multiple directions, left, right, forward, and backward. When the jet suddenly shifts sideways, and the villain loses balance hanging off the wing, that moment was filmed on this rig. The biggest advantage of this system was precision. Every movement could be programmed and repeated exactly, allowing actors and stunt performers to react naturally when remaining safe. It created the illusion of chaotic mid-air instability, while actually being tightly controlled. Filming this scene on a real rooftop gave the sequence something you can't fake easily: genuine depth, natural wind movement, and realistic city lighting. For the most hazardous moments, like when the villain jumps from the crane onto the jet or dangles from the wing, the team moved into a massive green screen stage built inside an aircraft hangar. The same jet rig was recreated in a controlled environment, allowing stunt performers to execute complex choreography safely. Later, visual effects artists composited in the skyline, sky, and cityscape, blending the footage seamlessly with the rooftop and real jet shots. This mix of practical stunt work and digital compositing allowed the action to stay thrilling without putting lives at unnecessary risk. Even the jet's gunfire wasn't purely digital. Gas-powered pyrotechnic systems were used to create real muzzle flashes and smoke bursts, giving the gunfire physical presence on camera. In the mid-1990s, digital effects alone couldn't deliver convincing large-scale destruction. That's why Cameron leaned heavily into practical effects, to give the scene texture, weight, and impact. You don't just see the explosions, you feel them. And that wraps up the insane practical madness behind True Lies. When you really look at it, this wasn't just a big 90s action movie. It was a masterclass in blending real stunts, massive miniatures, military hardware, and cutting-edge visual effects. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the making of True Lies, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more behind-the-scenes breakdowns, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment below and let me know which legendary action film could we explore next. Thanks for watching.